the green plains and the Great Cathedral. Far beyond the edge of any known kingdom lies the Green Plains, a land unlike any other in the wide, magical world. The plains stretch endlessly in all directions, a sea of green grass gently swaying in the breeze, broken only by a single dominant structure at its heart, the Great Cathedral. This towering edifice, crafted from ancient stone that gleamed a pale gold in the sunlight, stood as both a mystery and a symbol of forgotten power. The Green Plains were a place where the land seemed untouched by time, where nature itself whispered secrets only the wind could carry. For most of the year, the plains were nearly silent, disturbed only by the rare traveler who might pass through on their way to somewhere else. The grass was short and soft beneath their feet, almost as if nature had cultivated it for comfort. Flowers bloomed sparsely, their vibrant colors rare but stark against the endless green, and strange, ancient relics dotted the land, lonely columns standing like sentinels from a forgotten age, small walls whose purpose had long been lost to time, and fountains that bubbled with cool, clear water, though no one knew their source. The sky over the plains was as vast as the land below it, an endless blue canvas often unmarred by cloud or storm. It was as though the very world had declared this place sacred, preserving its beauty in a state of timeless serenity. But though the Green Plains were a place of peace, they were not forgotten by the people of the world. In fact, they were known far and wide for the grand gatherings and magical festivals that took place there, drawing creatures, mortals, and feel like from across the realms. The festivals of the Green Plains. Every few moons, when the stars align or when the seasons change, the Green Plains are transformed from their quiet splendor into a vibrant center of activity. Creatures and beings of all sorts flock to the plains, not just for the beauty of the land but for the festivals, each more wondrous and magical than the last. These gatherings are no ordinary festivals, they are woven from the very essence of magic, myth, and dreams. The Festival of Flickering Flames. The Festival of Flickering Flames is held once a year during the height of summer, when the days stretch long, and the air shimmers with heat. This festival is one of light and fire, and travelers come from across the realms to witness the spectacle. As night falls, the Great Cathedral becomes the centerpiece of the event, illuminated by thousands of floating lanterns. Magicians, sorcerers, and fire dancers perform, casting flames into the air that take the shape of mythical creatures, dragons, phoenixes, and strange beasts from forgotten tales. Children chase flickering fire sprites that dart between the festival goers, while storytellers weave their tales in the warm glow of the magical bonfires that never burn out. It's said that if one dances around the central flame for long enough, the fire spirits might grant a single wish, but the wish will only last until the dawn breaks. Many have tried, but few have been able to hold their dreams close enough to see them granted before morning. The Festival of Floating Dreams. In the early autumn, when the wind begins to cool and the sky takes on a soft, golden hue, the Festival of Floating Dreams is held. It is a quieter festival, filled with contemplation and mystery. On the eve of the festival, travelers are given enchanted floating lanterns, into which they can whisper their deepest desires, regrets, or questions for the universe. These lanterns are then released into the sky, where they drift up and up, becoming stars in the vast night. The legends say that those lanterns carrying the most heartfelt wishes never burn out, remaining forever in the heavens as new constellations. During this festival, it is said that one might encounter the dream walkers, beings of ethereal light who pass silently through the crowds, granting visions or even offering answers to the most profound questions of life. The air itself seems thick with possibility, and many leave the festival changed, their dreams either fulfilled or transformed. The Festival of Woven Whispers. As winter's breath begins to blow, the festival of woven whispers is held. This is a festival of mystery and quiet magic, where the wind itself is the storyteller. Travelers gather beneath the clear sky, where only the rarest of clouds drift lazily by. They weave together strands of enchanted thread into tapestries that hang from the ancient columns scattered across the plains. These tapestries tell stories from every corner of the world, tales of lost loves, ancient wars, and forgotten gods. As night falls, the wind begins to stir, and the whispers begin. The stories woven into the tapestries come to life, spoken by the wind in voices soft as silk, audible only to those willing to listen. It's said that if you hear your own story whispered in the wind, your fate is soon to change, for good or ill. The festival of the timeless dance. At the heart of spring, when the flowers bloom once more and the air is crisp with the scent of new life, the festival of the timeless dance begins. This is the most joyful of all the festivals, where creatures of every kind, human, fey, and mythical, come together in celebration of the turning seasons. The festival begins as the sun sets, with a grand procession of musicians, bards, and dancers from every corner of the world, leading to the Great Cathedral. It's said that time itself becomes fluid during this festival. As the music plays, the stars seem to move faster across the sky, and some claim that entire lifetimes can be lived in a single night's dance. Those who join in the timeless dance might find themselves transported to forgotten realms, or even into their own futures, before returning to the present when the final note is played at dawn. Some, however, are never seen again, having danced their way into another world altogether. The Festival of Forgotten Songs. Not every festival on the Green Plains is full of light and celebration. Every few years, under a rare, dark sky lit only by a sliver of moon, the Festival of Forgotten Songs is held. This festival is not announced or planned, it simply begins, and only those attuned to its magic feel the call. The air becomes thick with melancholy, and those who gather share songs and stories that have been forgotten by the world. The beings who come to this festival are often old, not just in years but in essence, ancient spirits, long-forgotten gods, and creatures whose names have been lost to history. They sing songs of creation, destruction, love, and loss, and as the festival continues, the lines between the past and present blur. Some say that by the end of the night, one might catch a glimpse of the world as it once was, or as it was meant to be. The eternal magic of the Green Plains. The festivals are a reminder that the Green Plains are more than just a peaceful place, they are a realm where time, magic, and reality itself shift and twist, offering a glimpse into something greater than the everyday. Those who visit might leave with nothing more than memories, but some leave with far more. A whispered secret, a granted wish, a glimpse into the future, or even an entire lifetime lived in a single night. And no matter how many years pass, the festivals always continue, drawing more and more travelers to the endless fields, where the grass sways in the breeze, the sky remains a vast, clear blue, and the great cathedral stands as a silent witness to the magic of the world. Continuation of the story. The Green Plains were quiet once again. The wind moved softly through the grass, carrying with it the faint echo of the last festival. Travelers had left, their footsteps barely disturbing the serenity of the place, and the great cathedral stood tall and silent in the distance, its golden stone gleaming under the midday sun. For now, the plains had returned to their natural, peaceful state. But the stillness would not last long. News had already spread across the realms, the night's festival was approaching. Unlike the other festivals, where magic and mystery dominated, the night's festival was a grand display of martial prowess, chivalry, and epic heroism. Knights and sorcerers from far and wide, from distant kingdoms and hidden academies, would soon converge upon the green plains. It was a festival that resonated not just with the people of the world, but with its legends, its myths, and its forgotten creatures. This was the time when valor was tested, courage was proven, and hearts were won, both through combat and song. The Knights' Festival. The Knights' Festival was unlike any other event held on the Green Plains. It combined the thrill of combat with the spectacle of sorcery, where brave warriors and cunning mags would compete for glory, honor, and love. Held at the height of spring, when the world was bursting with life, it was a festival of both pageantry and danger, attracting not only the finest knights and sorcerers but also the beasts of legend. From the moment the festival began, the plains would hum with energy. Rows of brightly colored tents lined the horizon, fluttering in the wind like the banners of old. Knights rode upon majestic steeds, their armor gleaming in the sunlight, while sorcerers dressed in robes of many hues walked among them, their staffs glowing faintly with ancient power. Spectators from across the world gathered to witness the grand spectacle, their eyes wide with anticipation for the contests ahead. The Trials of Valor. The heart of the Knights' Festival lay in its Trials of Valor, a series of deadly, thrilling competitions that tested the skill, strength, and cunning of each participant. Knights and sorcerers from every land signed up to face these trials, hoping to prove their worth not only in combat but also in the many other challenges that lay ahead. The Obsidian Gauntlet. The first trial was an obstacle course like no other. Stretching across miles of the green plains, it was filled with traps, enchanted barriers, and hidden dangers. The gauntlet was made up of enchanted walls that shifted and twisted, rivers of molten rock that had to be crossed, and vast forests conjured by sorcerers, where illusions could disorient even the strongest minds. Knights charged forward on foot or horseback, leaping over massive chasms, scaling impossible heights, and fighting off summoned beasts that sprang from the very earth. Sorcerers, for their part, weaved spells to counter the shifting environment or create magical paths to navigate the obstacles. The key to the Obsidian Gauntlet was not only strength but strategy, as only the most clever and adaptable competitors would survive its ever-changing course. The Sky's Fury. After the ground trials came the aerial combat. For this, the bravest knights mounted griffins or even dragons, while sorcerers took to the skies on enchanted wings or summoned wind spirits to carry them aloft. The sky was soon filled with the sounds of wings beating the air and the clash of swords. Competitors fought one another while trying to navigate through a series of magical storm clouds, where lightning bolts struck without warning, and gale-force winds threatened to send riders crashing to the earth below. In this trial, knights proved their mastery over their mythical mounts, while sorcerers demonstrated their ability to control the elements. The spectacle of dragon riders clashing with griffin knights in the sky, with magic and steel lighting up the heavens, was a sight that would never be forgotten by those who witnessed it. The Beastly Arena. One of the most anticipated events was the duel with mythical creatures. In the Great Arena, knights and sorcerers faced off against some of the most fearsome creatures ever known, manticores, chimeras, and hydras. The arena was enchanted, allowing it to expand or shift its terrain depending on the creature summoned. One moment, it could be a barren desert filled with quicksand, the next, it would be a dense forest, alive with the sounds of dangerous creatures hiding in the underbrush. To face these beasts, knights used their enchanted weapons, crafted with runes that glowed when they made contact with their monstrous foes. Sorcerers unleashed blasts of fire, ice, or raw magical force, summoning shields and illusions to confuse or trap their opponents. The battle between man and beast was as much a dance as it was a fight, with each competitor displaying their unique talents and cunning to overcome seemingly impossible odds. Defeating a manticore or outwitting a chimera was seen as the ultimate test of one's courage and skill. The victor of this trial would be celebrated for years to come, their names sung in the halls of every kingdom. The duels of honor, perhaps the most personal and intense part of the festival, was the one-on-one combat. In this trial, knights and sorcerers dueled one another, not just for glory but often for love. Many a knight entered the field wearing the colors of their chosen lady, hoping to win her favor through their skill in combat. These duels were fought with everything from enchanted swords and spears to magical staves. Some were fights of brute strength, with steel clashing against steel in a flurry of sparks, while others were battles of wit and magical prowess, where spells flashed like lightning and illusions danced across the arena floor. Victory in these duels was a matter of pride, but also of heart, as many knights fought not for themselves but for the honor of those they cherished. Winning hearts and swords. At the heart of the Knights' Festival was the idea of winning the hearts of those one admired. Knights competed not just for glory, but for the love and admiration of their chosen lady, or, in some cases, lord. In the grand tradition of courtly love, many knights bore the colors of their beloved into battle, hoping to impress them with feats of bravery and skill. But winning a heart was not simply a matter of combat. After the trials were complete, the festival turned toward more light-hearted pursuits. Knights would offer songs to the ladies they admired, either through poetry or ballads sung under the stars. The festival grounds would be filled with the sound of music, as bards and musicians played for the crowds while knights and their chosen partners danced around the fire. Some knights, after a day of hard-fought battles, would sit with their beloved beside the ancient fountains, telling tales of their victories or their near defeats, hoping to charm them with wit and grace. The night was filled with romance and celebration, as love, in all its forms, blossomed across the green plains. The fires of fellowship. As night descended on the green plains and the trials drew to a close, the festival took on a different tone. Around great bonfires, the knights and sorcerers who had once faced each other in fierce combat now sat side by side, sharing stories, laughter, and song. It was a tradition as old as the festival itself, to gather after the day's trials and celebrate not just individual victories, but the bonds of fellowship forged in battle. Knights passed goblets of enchanted wine, which shimmered faintly in the firelight, while sorcerers entertained the crowds with minor illusions, tiny dragons dancing in the flames, or stories woven from light and shadow. Bards played songs of ancient battles, lost loves, and great adventures, while the festival-goers sang along, their voices rising together in harmony. Some songs were of sorrow, telling of knights who had fallen in battle or of loves that had been lost. Others were joyful, celebrating the victories of the day or the promise of new beginnings. No matter the tone, the songs created a sense of unity, a reminder that even in the world of magic and combat, they were all bound together by the shared experience of the festival. And so, the Knights' Festival ended each year not in triumph or defeat, but in song and fellowship, the firelight flickering across the plains as the stars twinkled overhead. The warriors and mags, their weapons and spells put away for the night, sat as equals, bound by the timeless magic of the green plains and the stories they had written in the sky. The storm and the monsters of the green plains. As the seasons cycled on the green plains, a powerful and ancient rhythm governed the land. The festivals and celebrations punctuated the quiet, yet there were darker times when the sky would twist and churn, foreshadowing events that few would dare to speak of. During these rare and fearsome thunderstorms, when the clouds thickened until they swallowed the light of day, the green plains became a place of great tension and anticipation. The heavens would roar with thunder, shaking the very earth beneath them, and flashes of lightning would illuminate the plains in terrifying brilliance. The gentle whisper of the wind turned into a howling shriek, echoing the chaos above. As the storm reached its peak, small meteorites would fall from the sky, sizzling as they hit the ground, leaving small craters that would fade away by morning. In these tumultuous times, a legend long forgotten by most began to stir. It was said that from the heart of the storm, a monstrous entity would rise, a chimerical giant known as Charax, an embodiment of chaos and destruction. Charax was a creature of nightmarish design, a towering figure with 6 powerful arms, each ending in terrible claws, while its body resembled that of a man. Its head was a fearsome lizard-like visage, with eyes that glowed a sinister red, and a mouth filled with razor-sharp teeth. Its legs were hooved like a great beast, and it had a long, spiky tail that writhed with fury. Behind Charax, lesser monsters would follow, twisted forms of shadow and malice that roamed the plains with the intent of sowing terror and despair. This dreadful procession served only one purpose: to attack the Great Cathedral, that shining bastion of hope and light that stood resilient amidst the darkness. Each year, Charax and his minions sought to break through the wards of the cathedral, only to be met by the celestial beings that resided there, the winged angels of the cathedral. The guardians of the Great Cathedral. The angels were majestic beings, draped in flowing garments that shimmered like sunlight through water. Their wings were vast and white, each feather glinting with an ethereal glow that could brighten the darkest night. These guardians were the protectors of the green plains and the Great Cathedral, and they were always ready to confront the threats that emerged from the stormy skies. As the first rumblings of thunder echoed across the plains, the angels took their positions atop the Great Cathedral, ready to engage in the battle that would unfold. With swords forged of starlight and shields imbued with ancient magic, they were a sight to behold as they prepared to defend their sacred home. The encounter with Charax. When Charax emerged from the depths of the storm, its roar was deafening, drowning out the sound of the thunder. The ground trembled beneath its enormous weight as it stomped forward, flanked by its legion of smaller monsters, creatures twisted by malice, with jagged teeth and claws ready to rend and tear. The battle began as the angels descended, soaring from the cathedral with grace and fury. With powerful wings, they summoned gusts of wind to combat the chaos below. Archangel Sraphiel, the leader of the heavenly host, led the charge, brandishing a sword of pure light that cut through the darkness. The clash between Charax and the angels was a symphony of chaos and valor. Charax swung its massive arms, sending angels spiraling through the air, but the guardians were relentless. They danced around the giant, striking with precision, their swords glowing brightly as they sought to sever its grasp on the land. The minions of Charax. As Charax fought against the angels, the smaller monsters joined the fray. There were shadow hounds, with eyes like burning coals that flitted in and out of the darkness, attempting to distract and overpower the angels. Then there were the Gorgon wraiths, phantom-like beings with serpentine features that could petrify any creature that gazed upon them. The angels worked in tandem, with some engaging the larger Charax while others took to the air to fend off the shadow hounds and Gorgon wraiths. With blinding speed, they struck down the minions, banishing them back into the shadows from whence they came. The defeat of Charax. As the storm raged overhead, the climactic moment of the battle arrived. With a roar that seemed to shake the very heavens, Charax lunged at Sraphiel, its claws poised to strike. But the archangel, fueled by the power of light and hope, soared upward and, with a mighty swing of his sword, struck Charax's head. The impact sent shockwaves through the creature's form, causing it to stagger backward, its monstrous visage contorted in pain. In that moment of vulnerability, the other angels joined forces. They channeled their magic into a brilliant ray of light, forming a beam that struck Charax squarely in the chest. The chimerical giant let out a thunderous howl, a sound that mixed agony with fury, before it began to dissolve into shadow and mist, retreating back into the depths of the storm from which it had come. With a final burst of energy, Carix unleashed a hail of darkness, but it was too late. The angels had prevailed once again. They raised their swords in triumph as the storm began to wane, the clouds breaking apart to reveal the stars above, twinkling like gems in the night sky. The changing faces of the monsters. Each year brought forth a new incarnation of Carix, a different guise that embodied the fears and nightmares of the people. The nature of the storms often dictated the form the creature would take. The wraith of frost, in the depths of winter, Carix would manifest as a wraith-like figure, ethereal and chilling, with a body formed from the very essence of frost. Its claws were icicles, sharp enough to freeze the heart of any who dared approach. The angels would fight this form with flames and warmth, drawing upon the fire of their celestial essence to melt the icy dread and banish it back to the cold realms of despair. The blazing behemoth, when summer storms rolled through, Carix appeared as a creature of flame, its body a mass of swirling fire and molten rock. Its eyes burned with fury as it sought to engulf the plains in its relentless heat. The angels would counter this form by harnessing the power of water, summoning torrents to quench the flames, while weaving spells of protection to shield the plains from the inferno. The phantom Leviathan, in the autumn, Carix would take the form of a great serpent, coiling across the land like a shadow. Its scales glimmered like the night sky, and it moved with the grace of the wind. The angels had to rely on agility and quick strikes to subdue this form, using their wings to navigate its vast coils and pierce the heart of the beast with swift strikes of their luminous swords. The Iron Colossus, on rare occasions, Carix would rise as an enormous armored giant, its skin like iron and its voice like thunder. This monstrous form represented the fear of war and destruction. The angels would unite their strength, combining their magic to form a barrier that could withstand the onslaught, allowing them to find the vulnerable points in its defenses and strike true. The aftermath. As the storm cleared and dawn broke over the green plains, the angels would return to the Great Cathedral, their wings glowing softly as the first rays of sunlight kissed the earth. They would gather to celebrate their victory, a ceremony that honored their fallen comrades, those who had fought valiantly against the darkness. The people of the Green Plains would emerge from their homes, witnessing the aftermath of the battle. They would see the meteorite craters filled with shimmering light, remnants of the celestial magic that had intertwined with the storm. The stories of the battle against Carix and his minions would be told for generations, a testament to the enduring spirit of the Guardians and the light they brought to the world. And so, the Green Plains would remain a place of peace and joy, a realm forever protected by the courage of the angels and their determination to face the storms that came, no matter how monstrous the foe might be. Each year, the memory of the battles would fade, only to be rekindled when the next storm rolled in, reminding all that even in the darkest times, there was always hope.